All right, so since I have Ember on, perhaps we should go on a little adventure. What do you think, Scott?
Going on a trip?
Going on a trip.
Sure.
All right.
So rework number one.
Nerfing number 3.
Nerfing number
No,
three.
no,
Scott.
don't say that.
So
This is all good news, Stream.
So right now, I have a very strength-focused build on for Ember, but I'm actually going to get rid of that for now and just put this here, just to have a more efficiency, just to work with some things here. Because her passive, the first thing we'll do is we'll talk about her passive changing. So Ember's new passive is?
She gains ability strength based on the number of enemies that are on fire around her.
Up to?
Currently it's uncapped, but we're playing with what the hard cap will be, but it's 5% per enemy within a 10-meter range.
So
currently.
modding for strength is now something that if you're depending on how you're playing, you might not want to put all your stats into strength. You can play around a little bit. So I'm just going to do that based on the new passive. So, sweet. So your strength stat can now stack with the passive. And she has 2 new abilities, which we'll show you in practice. We're going to hop into the simulacrum first to do it in a controlled setting, and then we'll play a mission. Okay, so Ember. Here she is. She was one of our first released Warframes. Her first ability hasn't changed too much. It's still your fireball on cast. You can hold for a much larger, higher damage fireball.
Yes.
Her second ability is completely new.
Well, her first ability, we also, there was a bunch of input latency stuff in it. There's a bunch of animation latency stuff in it that we found. So you couldn't press it and hold it. You had to have a real rhythm to how you cast it before. Now you should be able to spam it pretty easily, and it should react correctly.
All right, so we have some enemies here that are just, their brains are off, the level 200 butchers. So we've actually, one of the core things with Ember, not just her abilities, but we've changed the way heat procs work, which in...
Oh, yes, we're playing with the idea of changing, heat procs, yes.
Yes, so a heat status chance right now, you get a damage over time and they panic, and the damage over time doesn't stack in the same way that others do. So that is going to be changing, or we're experimenting with it changing.
Yes, so each additional heat proc will add, is it added damage or are we adding a separate one? I forget what we're doing.
Well, it's written down.
Well, we've changed it 4 or 5 times in the last couple of days.
Yeah, we're making changes to the heat proc to behave more like other status effects that increase and stack with the DOT.
They will stack, yes, as well.
And then
they also have a armor strip that goes with them as well that we're playing with. So as they're on fire, they'll have reduction in armor. We're playing whether or not it's temporary or if it's permanent, and whether or not it is all removed at the very beginning or removed over the time that the proc is active.
Yes.
So those are 2
Someone in
options.
chat just said, it melts armor now, and that's the spirit behind it. So as long as the proc's active, perhaps the melting will occur, and we have to balance and play around with it. So, and yes, the fire effects have got a bit of an update as well.
Yes, and Spicy is her passive, yes.
Yes, her passive is...
Currently named Spicy.
Is it actually called
Spicy,
It was Spicy?
Yeah, I think
Let
you
it
UI?
on fire. Yeah.
Oh no.
Spicy. There you go. So Spicy. Spicy. And with Grendel's release, meatballs coming, so you can literally
Spicy
have a
meatball.
spicy meatball.
Wow. That was like my Vindaloo the other day. And the other morning.
So her second ability is a throwback to original Ember in a lot of ways. It's a defensive ability. So current Ember, a lot of the feedback has been, she can't keep herself alive. She has minimal CC. If you mod certain ways, you can get more effective
The damage
CC.
reduction loss was huge for her.
Yeah. So it's called placeholder name Immolation. She has a custom meter that shows her immolation state, what this does.
It's really hard to see on the screen, but it's down on the bottom right.
You can see it. So immolation, when active, depending on how you're modding, 50% DR, and then as it builds, the DR increases. DR standing for damage reduction.
Yes, so as it builds up, it has a passive build. So as you cast her 1 and her 4, those add to the fill rate of the meter. So if you overdo it with those 2, you can fill it too quickly. Her third ability will actually reduce it and also reduce the fill rate.
Yep.
So that you're able to kind of control that meter and hopefully keep it in that upper range sweet spot where you get the most damage bonuses and also the most damage reduction, because the meter feeds into most of her other abilities as well. So like for Fireball, if the meter's high, the casting speed will be faster.
Yeah, so if I hit 3 right now, I'm going to throttle that meter down a bit, and there it goes. So you're basically, it's like a meta game within to manage that meter for, again, the best damage reduction and the damage output on her other abilities.
Yeah.
Does her 2 have a mana drain? It just has a cast cost right now.
It's just a cast cost right now. We had the energy drain on it, but you were saying it's a lot to to manage.
Yes.
With the energy drain. She's already an energy hungry frame. So having that passively draining the entire time kind of robbed the idea that we're trying to get you to turn this on and then use all our powers and
Yes.
kind of light everything on fire and
Yes.
work with that. So,
So the
combined with her passive, the idea is you're supposed to start this and then really go to town with all of her powers.
And we have a new way of doing her ultimate. So World on Fire is now a bit more, it's just an activated ability. It's no longer a drain over time. And if you hit it, so as you can see, my meter is at max, and then it's going to dispel. So we'll talk about that in a second. It killed everyone on that dispel. So, just look at chat, Steve.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's-
yeah.
Yeah.
I almost passed out.
Yeah. We're losing Steve, so we got it. Yeah. Okay.
Steve's going,
Yeah. We're losing them. We'll get it back. We'll
No,
do
I
it.
say it was kind of blindingly awesome.
Yeah, let's do it.
Can we
again.
see that again?
Of course we can see it
All right,
again.
all right.
Kaboom.
yeah.
Maybe
so-
from a bit of a distance.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
So
anyone.
this is a simplified kind of World on Fire. It's more focused on giant nuke, kind of in what's in view of your character, but it also starts them on fire. So as the fire grows, they also light other things on fire. So kind of trying to keep that Inferno World on Fire idea. So as those characters, if they were moving around, if they walked into another character, you'll see the fire around them grow. They'll catch them on fire as well. So it kind of has a spreading ability on the enemies versus around just you.
Yes. So doing all of these with
It's so pleasing.
it is so satisfying.
It's nice that she got like a whole cast rework as well.
Yeah, all
She
the
was-
animations are.
She's one of the most neglected animation-wise.
Yeah.
Well, her and Vauban.
Oh,
Actually.
Vauban was very
Vauban was really bad.
neglected. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's her. That's a much faster cast animation as well
Yes,
for her 3.
yeah.
Yeah. So her 3, so we took out the duration on it, and it's more of an AoE ability now. So it's mostly about armor stripping now and kind of CC. So the idea is you can go in and you can go into a group of enemies and you can cast her Fire Blast and basically knock the enemies back, but also strip their armor.
So you can see that.
Another way to kind of
And then they fall off the
soften up
side.
the enemies.
Oh, God. Yes. So, and you're playing a real mission. Obviously, the simulacrum is simulating mission. So you'd have your 2 up for your damage resistance. As you're playing, that meter's going to build. Whatever you're doing, you're going to kind of have your eye on it to balance your survivability, but also the damage output of your abilities while managing your energy. So you're looking, you're going to, and then once I hit 3, you can really watch that energy, the meter go down. So that rids you of that immolation meter gauge. So that's the ability you're
It
going
also reduces the fill rate of it. So if you use your ultimate too many times in a row, that meter will really fill quickly. And if you kind of manage it well, you can keep it from doing it.
All right, so that is Ember in the simulacrum. And then we will switch to Vauban in the simulacrum. Okay, so Vauban. He is the trap master. He's lived his life throwing balls for,
Master of
for half a
balls.
decade. He's been fondling balls, and it's time.
He's got
Oh my God!
He's gotten better with his balls, though.
He's gotten better.
He's learned new
Killed the
techniques.
subtlety with that guy.
I know. All right, so Tesla,
Yes.
his first ability.
Yeah, so a lot of people complain about his mobility. So a lot of hopefully the rework stuff kind of helps with his mobility.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah.
Well,
We're working on the
We're
later
work-
ones.
yeah.
We're working on the
yeah, anim-wise, a lot of the stuff is work in progress and stuff
Yes,
that's
yep.
input. So Tesla basically became a rolling version. You'd cast it right at his feet, which is very helpful for showing that.
Yep.
All right.
Try again. Try
I
again.
am holding my mouse. My mouse is not. There we go. So they'll go on. He latched on.
You basically create your
That's
own
man.
rolling sticky drone that will latch onto the nearest enemy and create obviously a CC plus an area effect shock. You can cast up to 4 of these. So if you hold the charge, you get 4, which also has cool animations now.
So that's holding. That's the hold
That's
cast.
the hold, yep.
There you go. So it's mobile CC that follows you around once the enemies
Yeah,
are
so
gone.
once those guys are dead, those will then obviously start to follow you around again.
Yeah, you can see them there.
So,
That one's going back to work because he knows his job isn't done.
yeah.
All right.
And there's polish items like it didn't really. It looked like it was sliding, not rolling.
Yeah.
And the attach thing, it's not very obvious.
Yep.
So a few polish items there.
So my mouse is.
Well, they're
I think it's
actually
dying.
switching them away from being agents and avatars,
Yeah.
so that we don't drop the AI count
Yep.
for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're getting some custom work to
Yes.
make them possible,
Alright, let's
which
get
might end up opening the door to having more than 4.
Yep.
So we'll
That
have
would
to
be
see.
amazing.
All right.
Have more.
Have a
more
rolling
balls.
ar-
More
roll-
balls.
more balls, rolling army.
All 4 of his mine layers have changed as well. They all have new designs.
They have, yeah.
Yes.
So the idea behind Mine Layer has always kind of hopefully been utility. So some of these are still work in progress, but the idea behind which one are you throwing?
So that
this is I call it the sticky rip line. So the idea here is it's a trap. It pulls AI in and kind of takes them out of the fight. So you can use these in combination with Bastille. So if enemies are just outside of the range of Bastille, you can kind of cast these and it'll pull them into Bastille. Or you can pull them up into the geometry. Fun one is you can stick to other AI as well.
And they
So-
stick to the point, so they tether and come back, and it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, so you can actually stick it to your Kuva and then take some Grenier for a walk, which is pretty funny.
The second one is the nail grenade.
Yeah, so this also synergizes with Bastille very well, or just kind of locks down a point. It's basically the just radial damage. It's kind of shooting out nails in radius.
Yes.
Doing damage.
Yes.
It's sort of like a turret, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Great.
And then his third is a utility, so you throw it down. It's a speed boost, so
Yes.
it's
So these are basically, if you've played any arcade racer it's basically a boost pad for speed. They're basically timed out that, in the open world, you can actually just keep casting them in front of you and keep going quicker and quicker.
yeah.
The one thing with
That's
Mine Layer
cute.
is we also dropped the casting cost down to 25 energy, which I think helps keep the utility aspect
I had
of
to
it.
try.
Oh yeah, currently you can really troll with it, so we're trying to find a solution.
It's bounced but flat. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
You become a ball yourself.
Exactly.
Bow, bow.
And then last but not least, damage amp.
Yeah, so-
Placeholder name.
Oh,
We lost
chat
chat.
blew up.
I think we had a power fluctuation again.
I think we did. Are we dead?
Is it possible to create like a pool shot then? Could you have 3 little speed
Yes, you
things
can.
with like angles and go bang, bang, bang?
Let's find out.
You could.
There's one. Let's
Are we
send
still
one.
live?
Yeah, are we live?
Does anyone know?
Okay, that'll go that way. Oh.
Yep.
Oh,
We're still live? Are we still live, everyone? Hold on, I'm doing something
Like,
really important.
Chrome just crashes on chat.
All right.
Yeah, but there are some power.
Okay. There we go. Hold on. Oh, I screwed myself over.
Yep.
Oh, I hit the roof. Okay, anyway. The last one is damage amp, which is a little grenade that is going to attach to me right away, but any ally that picks it up.
Any ally, yeah. So you can toss these around the map, and allies as they pass, it will jump and stick to them. So this creates also an aura around you that gives everyone around you a damage boost.
Yes.
Currently, it's quite high, so we're playing with the numbers still. But the idea is it's just a simple damage boost.
Yeah.
But mobile with you.
Mobile with you. No stationary. Now, his third ability is brand new. It is pretty... it works indoors, is all I'll say as a hint ahead of time. So you can call down an orbital strike now. So you place your orbital strike point, wherever that ends up is where the strike hits from above.
So the idea behind this one, I think, was to help with his damage output. He was really kind of lacking any sort of heavy damage. So this is quite high damage in a very focused spot, which I think synergizes really well with the rework of Bastille.
Yes, which so you can have some fun throwing these.
Yeah.
I don't know if
They're
we're
useful in their own manner in obviously tight spaces.
Yes.
Focus groups if you can, but it also works really well with his ultimate.
yes. And speaking of his ultimate, actually, you know what? Should I spawn more dudes?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, I'll get some more guys. People are very excited about calling down orbital strikes. Yes.
We did try to license Hammer of Dawn from Microsoft, but unfortunately we weren't able to get the name.
No. So now what is it called? Hammer of Dusk? All right. So if you tap 4, you're now going to place out what you know as Vauban's Bastille. So that is his current third ability on the live build. Here it is as part of his fourth. And you can place multiples. So if I wanted to, I could go over here. But there's a catch, isn't there?
What is the catch?
So say I'm doing my thing, I'm looking, if I hold 4, it turns into Vortex.
Yes.
So all...
And synergizes really nice.
He's going in, they're getting drawn, they're drawn in. So if I were to...
Throw your 3.
Throw it.
Hold
Orbital
on.
strike.
Come on, dude. There we go. So
You broke the game.
I broke the game. Good thing I broke it. But you can
So
also,
yep.
sorry, go ahead. You can also just do direct vortex by holding 4. So
Yep.
you can do, you don't have to do the Bastille phase. You can just do the vortex phase by holding 4, but you could also just do
And if
Bastille.
you let the Bastille run out its full duration, it actually collapses down to a vortex for a very brief period of time as well.
Yep. And standing inside the Bastille is a team buff as well.
It's an armor strip from enemies as well. So you did these.
Their armor's gone. You can see
Yeah. So as they're caught in Bastille, they're actually stripped with armor. So the ideal scenario is you leave them in Bastille for a period of time, and then you collapse them down to vortex, and then wipe them out.
So basically, every tool now has multiple uses. They've been combined. It's all about how well you use his toolkit arsenal. Each power can be held, if not for functionality, for different results on the gameplay field. Do your Bastille, do your vortex
Very
phase.
deep, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
it
4 of
seems
his
very
9
deep, very
layers.
cool.
And the
Yeah.
orbital strike, of course, is just the cherry on top. When you get those clumps of enemies, you can.
Orbital strike also scales based on the kind of the enemy range that is around them when it charges up.
Yes.
So higher level enemies will actually create a higher level orbital strike as well
So,
for some scaling damage in there.
Oh, nice.
so if I wanted my sticky rip line here, get that going. Get my Bastille, hold it into a vortex, just see what happens. Hit a 3. Just having a blast over there.